Leo Tolstoy. A man who saw both the ballroom and the battlefield, the aristocrat's privilege and the peasant's hardship, is one of literature's towering figures. Born in 1828 into Russian nobility, Tolstoy grew up surrounded by opulence. Yet his later life was defined by a restless quest for moral and spiritual clarity. By the time he wrote Anna Karenina, serialized from 1875 to 1877, Tolstoy had already achieved literary immortality with War and Peace. But this new novel turned its gaze away from grand Napoleonic wars and toward another battlefield: the intimate, emotional conflicts of human relationships. If War and Peace examined the tides of history, Anna Karenina plunged deep into the human heart's contradictions. The late 19th century was a time of intense change in Russia. The Emancipation Reform of 1861 had freed the serfs, shaking the traditional social order. Industrialization was creeping in. Railways were expanding. And Western European ideas about love, individuality, and morality were influencing Russian thought. This was also the dawn of the realist movement in literature. European writers, like Flaubert and Zola, were portraying flawed protagonists with clinical honesty, discarding romanticized ideals. Tolstoy adapted this realism to Russian life, exposing not only aristocratic glamour, but also its concealed hypocrisy. When the novel first appeared in serialized form, it caused sharp debates. This was not just a love story. It was a dissection of fidelity, passion, family, societal pressure, and the price of defying convention. Tolstoy dared to paint both the allure and the consequences of crossing social boundaries, leaving no character entirely innocent. From its memorable opening line, "All happy families are alike. Each unhappy family is unhappy in its own way," the book announced its ambition to speak to both the personal and the universal. And it has been doing exactly that for nearly 150 years. At its surface, Anna Karenina is the story of a passionate affair. But Tolstoy turns it into a sweeping portrait of love, morality, and the collision between personal desires and societal expectations. Two parallel worlds. Anna's world. Anna Arkadyevna Karenina, a sophisticated and beautiful aristocrat, seems to live the perfect high society life in St. Petersburg. Married to a prominent, respectable official, and mother to a young son, she enjoys the privileges of rank and reputation. But when she meets the young, charismatic officer, Count Vronsky, the spark between them shakes her entire existence. What begins as attraction grows into something fierce and undeniable. Yet it threatens to turn her against the rigid moral codes and unforgiving gossip of Russian high society. Levin's world, running in counterpoint, is the story of Konstantin Levin, a landowner deeply connected to the rhythms of rural Russia, searching for meaning in love, work, and faith. Levin's struggles are quieter than Anna's, but no less profound. His perspective provides a grounding contrast to the glittering salons and whispered scandals of the city. Alongside these central arcs, Tolstoy fills the world with vivid side characters, from aristocrats in grand ballrooms to peasants working the fields, each with their own conflicts. We see railway stations, country estates, hunts, and dances, intimate conversations, and public humiliations. The tension, without spoilers. The true strength of Anna Karenina lies in how Tolstoy allows us to live with these characters, to understand their joys, fears, contradictions, and above all, the cost of every choice. We see love in many forms: romantic passion, steady companionship, fleeting infatuation, and the possibility of finding solace in the ordinary. Without revealing the conclusion, it's safe to say the paths of Anna and Levin will take them through moral storms. One, drawn toward a collision with society. The other, toward a slow search for peace. And in Tolstoy's hands, every scene feels alive. Every choice, heavy with consequence. Anna is a character, both dazzling and tragic. Her beauty, intelligence, and charm make her magnetic in any setting. Yet, beneath this surface lies a deep restlessness. She craves a love that is more than duty or performance. And when she finds it, she cannot, or will not, suppress it, even when the cost becomes unbearable. In her, Tolstoy crafts a heroine who is neither wholly guilty nor wholly innocent. She is, simply, vividly, human. Vronsky, her lover, embodies the kind of passion that can feel like both liberation and entrapment. Though deeply drawn to Anna, his world is one of military prestige and social appearances. As their relationship deepens, he is forced to reconcile the thrill of desire with the weight of public judgment and personal responsibility. Levin offers a deliberate counterpoint. An introspective landowner. He wrestles with questions about faith, work, and the purpose of life. His journey is quieter but profound, representing a search for meaning that goes beyond romance. Levin's philosophical reflections and immersion in rural life evoke Tolstoy's own concerns about modernity and the loss of spiritual clarity. The novel vibrates with themes that crisscross city and countryside, passion and principle. Love is shown as exhilarating, but also destructive when pursued without balance. Marriage appears both as a potential refuge and as a cage. Society's approval is depicted as fragile, and its condemnation swift. Symbolism runs subtly throughout. The railway, appearing at critical moments, becomes more than mere transportation. It stands as a motif of fate, inevitability, and the industrial forces reshaping human life. Nature, in contrast, is a place of renewal, seen most vividly in Levin's farming scenes, where life follows its natural rhythms, instead of the artificial pace of salons and scandals. Tolstoy's genius lies in refusing to cast moral judgment too quickly. Instead, he holds up a mirror to the human heart, showing both its frailty and its stubborn resilience. The characters' conflicts are not relics of 19th century Russia. They pulse with relevance for anyone who has ever balanced personal desire against the weight of expectation, or wrestled with the gap between public image and private truth. Though rooted in 19th century Russia, the struggles at the heart of this novel speak clearly to our own time. Anna's defiance of societal convention mirrors the modern tension between individual freedom and social judgment, a tension amplified today by the visibility and permanence of online life, where Anna faced whispers in drawing rooms. A similar choice, now, can spark instant, global scrutiny, bringing the same combination of fascination and condemnation. Levin's search for purpose resonates in an age of burnout and disconnection. His retreat to the land, his yearning for authenticity, and his moral questioning feel almost contemporary. They echo current movements toward slow living, sustainability, and mindfulness. The weight he places on honest labor and spiritual clarity is a quiet counterargument to the digital noise and consumerism of today. The portrait of marriage, with its blend of comfort and confinement, also feels timeless. Tolstoy's honesty about misaligned expectations, drifting affections, and the silent work needed to sustain love cuts across centuries. The novel's exploration of mental anguish, particularly in Anna's unraveling, invites modern parallels, with increased awareness of mental health challenges and the consequences of isolation. Even its symbols carry forward. The railway, once a sign of industrial acceleration, now mirrors our era's technological momentum. Rapid, unstoppable, and sometimes dangerous, if we lose sight of the human cost. Reading the novel today is not stepping into a distant museum, but into a living conversation about love, identity, and the price of choosing one's own path. It reminds us that the truest battles are not fought on political stages, but in the private negotiations of the heart, in the space where desire collides with duty. Tolstoy leaves Anna Karenina suspended between beauty and tragedy, offering no neat moral resolution. The lives we have followed feel real enough to walk away from the page and continue on without us, carrying their joys, mistakes, and quiet compromises. This is part of the novel's lasting power. We are left with the impression that the story doesn't end. Only our reading of it does. What emerges is a reminder that love, no matter how consuming, exists within a web of obligations, fears, and moral choices. Passion can illuminate life, but it can also destroy the foundations that hold it together. Tolstoy doesn't instruct us to condemn or to forgive. He asks us to understand. The balance between Anna's downward spiral and Levin's slow, contemplative ascent offers a dual legacy. One warns us of the cost of ignoring the world's limitations, while the other suggests the peace that comes with accepting and working within them. They are two answers to the same question. How should a person live? When the final page closes, a certain unease lingers, because the conflicts Tolstoy mapped out are still ours. We still negotiate the pull between self-expression and belonging, between desire and responsibility, between the urge to escape and the need to endure. That is why Anna Karenina continues to feel like a mirror, reflecting not only a long-vanished Russia, but also the intimate, unchanging dilemmas of the human condition.